Ghostbusters Fan Fest hosted by Wizard World. Oh, okay. So this is such a great event. I'm so honored to be here. And you know, we're celebrating 35 years of an incredible legacy. And part of that legacy is the Real Ghostbusters. So let's give a warm welcome to the cast of the Real Ghostbusters, Dave Coulier, Joe Magic, Craig Miller.
Where do we go? What do we do?
Right over here, you guys. Right over here.
On the hottest seat on the planet.
Okay, I'm about to burn my butt on this couch because it's black and...
Hasn't been out there long.
Oh, that's a wonderful feeling. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Can I get a foot rub, Dave?
Yes, you can. I'll give you a back rub, too.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
And by the way, I'll be in the audience. When you have questions for them, I'm going to put the microphone by your mouth. You can ask them questions, but I'll let you take over, Sophia.
So, first off, congratulations on being a part of this amazing franchise and legacy. Did you know when you first auditioned for your part, Dave, that it would become the iconic, just everything that it is today?
Well, the show was already iconic by the time I joined.
Yep.
Lorenzo Muzak was the original Peter Venkman voice. And then I was brought on in season 3, I want to say?
We were about 42 episodes in.
Yes.
Because we had 2 orders, a network order and a syndication order.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was thrilled to join this super talented cast. And we laughed a lot. It was, and it was just immaturity.
Like locker room stuff, not the kind of locker room that the president does, not that locker room talk. Clean locker room talk from Dave Coulier, the king of the locker. He's the best next to me.
And it wasn't like Joe Pesci locker room talk.
No, take a pen, put a pen in your ear. That's what it is.
I'm going to shoot you right in the foot, Spider. Unbelievable.
But we laughed a lot.
It was nonstop that. It was just us sticking.
Yeah.
And Dave Coulier does the best hand farts that you'll ever. Although you got a little stubble going today.
I do, but
You need to be completely
we're
clean
getting
shaven.
away from Ghostbusters, but
that is
what I do
Ghostbusters.
is when I do hand farts, I do celebrity wind impressions.
Yes, you do.
So I'll take anybody, if you name a celebrity, I can do what their wind would sound like.
Well, how about Taylor Swift?
Taylor Swift, often requested, of course. Is she wearing shorts or pants?
I would say probably shorts. It's a little warm out
Shorts.
today.
Taylor Swift, I'm going to say after a bean burrito.
That's a good guess.
Taylor Swift, shorts, bean burrito. If you want to close your eyes, it sounds something like this. Thank you.
And that was our day. That was what it was like for us to make Real Ghostbusters.
Very, very
One more.
mature.
One more.
Yeah, okay, one more? Sure.
Does anyone in the audience have a suggestion for a celebrity?
Peter Lorre. I want to hear your Peter Lorre.
Peter Lorre, okay.
No relation to Chuck Lorre.
Here we go, Peter Lorre, and this is going to be him jogging down a beach.
All right.
Okay,
Sounds
with no shirt. Here we go. Okay. He's kind of a slow runner, but they come out like pop, 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 pop. My parents are very proud of me.
I bet they are.
I
I bet they are.
I told you that.
Well, Dave, can we get one more? Let's do a Ghostbuster. Let's do Bill Murray.
Bill Murray, here we go.
Ghostbuster. Bill Murray.
Bill Murray. Okay, here we go. This Bill, powerful. Powerful.
I feel like he's here, honestly.
Don't you? It's like the couch vibrated and everything.
Yeah, this was the high. This was the highbrow humor we were treated to.
We've really brought this
really did.
literally into the toilet, which is great.
They want to know ectoplasmic stuff.
Yes.
You know, things from
That was
the psychic side of
ectogasmic.
things. Yep, and you brought the ectogasm.
So, I think we should continue on.
After that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what initially drew you to, you know, just starting in voice acting? What about it just kind of made you say, this is something I can do?
Well, I was a stand-up comic. I started when I was 18 in Detroit, and the way I set myself apart from other comedians was to do a lot of voices and characters on stage. And that just, by the time I moved out here when I was 19, the first show I worked on was Scooby-Doo. and then I worked on the Jetsons, and you know, at that time, the voiceover world was a tiny little world.
It was much smaller.
It was much smaller. And so if you worked for, say, Hanna-Barbera, they would put you on a lot of different shows. And so it just kind of developed into a career where I worked on the Muppet Babies. I got to work with Jim Henson, and we won 4 Daytime Emmy Awards for Best Animated Series. And so the choice kind of really made its way from my stand-up act into a recording studio.
And I must say, I think Scooby-Doo really is what got me here today. I've always had such a fascination with the paranormal, and Scooby-Doo was such a large part of my childhood. And so, thank you for leading me to be here today.
Yeah.
And Joe, what initially made you want to be a producer on Ghostbusters?
Oh, wait.
Where's Joe?
Where is Joe?
Where's Joe? Is
Joe?
he behind the couch?
I happen to have
Joe?
a puppet right here.
Is he? Joe, are you passed
How
out
you
on
doing
the
there,
couch?
buddy?
Where are you, Joe?
I think Joe's still signing autographs. But anyway, I'm Maurice Lamarche, that's okay. I was Egon on the show. And my story, thank you very much. I collect spores, mold, and fungus. And I'll just say this, I came to the show on the cattle call. You know, they read everybody for this show. The lobby of Wally Burr Recording was packed with people. And the one thing they came out and said, Michael C. Gross, God rest his soul, it was nobody do impressions from the movie. The movie people are the movie people. We're creating a separate universe. Don't do impressions. So I walked into the studio and there was the drawing of Egon. Now, he didn't have blonde hair in the drawing, but all I could see was Harold Ramis. And I was such a fan of the first movie. I'd seen it literally like 5 or 6 times. And I thought, don't do impressions. Nothing's coming but Harold. So I did this little underdog Poindexter voice that was completely wrong.
Yeah.
And they said, you want to try anything else? I went, yes. And I just went, all right, I'm breaking out the Harold impression. And, you know, I did my Harold. This could be extraordinarily dangerous for Slimer, Peter. And Michael went, okay, you get to do an impression. And so I think I got hired like right there. And so but I was very surprised. I thought I'd broken the rule. And I got to be Egon, and I've sat on Harold Ramis' shoulders this whole time, and he's the true genius of Egon. And it's been my privilege to just kind of carry on the tradition of Egon in the cartoons and when I meet you all. If I could just say a word to the Ghostbusters chapters, the actual Ghostbusters that are here. The work that you guys do, the kind of charitable work and the uplifting of children's spirits, the raising of money, I know that you honor Harold's memory and Dan's work and Ivan's work by doing that, taking goodness out into the world in the name of Ghostbusters. It makes me tear up every time I see you guys. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you, Ghostbusters.
Okay.
And Joe Jagger, our intrepid producer from Real Ghostbusters.
It's not warm
movies.
over here, Joe.
No.
Would you like to come and sit on a black couch?
Yes.
All right. Great.
It's freezing and something.
Yeah, here.
Here, you can have mine. I already talked.
Here,
Now you can see the kind of trouble. Whoops, is this on? Now you can see the kind of troubles we had trying to record these guys.
Yes.
Marcia Goodman, who was the voice director,
Oh, God bless Marcia
was
Goodman.
like the school mom. She wouldn't let them sit together. They did the same thing with Arsenio. They wouldn't let Maurice and Arsenio
No,
sit together.
but Arsenio, you know, he led a real comics life and he worked late. So he was always dozing off. I was always late, and
What was your
Arsenio,
excuse?
I had none whatsoever. I was perpetually 10 minutes late, and I would have to tap Arsenio's leg whenever Winston and I would come up because he was always dozing off. But then he'd be like, perfect, right there. He was great. It was great. We had so much fun on this show.
We laughed a lot. We did laugh a lot. That's
Well,
for
there
sure.
were, you know, I didn't realize when we started the process that these guys weren't just voiceover. Well, first of all, I thought Dave was a big TV star, so I was shocked when he showed up. And then they weren't just voiceover; they were comedians. I don't know if Maurice remembers this. I had been teaching in Toronto, and a student of mine was doing stand-up at a place called Yuck Yucks. So I went there, and one of the acts was Maurice, who I'd never met. This was in Toronto. And then a couple of years later, he showed up in LA on the Real Ghostbusters show.
Yeah,
And
that's where I started.
and Dave was my neighbor across the street.
Oh, wow.
We lived across the street from each other.
Yeah, but it's not how he got the job, honest.
So, Joe, what initially made you want to actually become a producer on Ghostbusters?
On the movie or the cartoon show?
Well, all of it. I mean, you didn't just stick with one, you went with all of it.
It seemed like a good idea at the time. No one's ever asked me why. People ask me how, but no one's ever asked why. They already explained why it's called the Real Ghostbusters?
No, that's your
Everyone
story.
knows, right? Yeah. So I don't need to tell it.
Okay, all right. She doesn't. I don't know.
You don't?
I don't.
Oh, well, when we were working on the movie, we discovered before we started shooting that we didn't own the name Ghostbusters. It was owned by a company called Filmation, thank you, who had done a live-action half-hour kids show about two guys and a monkey, or an ape, who catch ghosts. And we really loved the title, and no one had ever heard of this show, virtually. We hadn't, anyway. So we said to Columbia, clear the rights to this. And there was a lot of negotiations going on, and when we started shooting, we still didn't have the rights to the movie, to the name. And so we actually, and I think there's some stuff going around you can see, where they actually shot things with different titles, which was getting ridiculous. It was hard enough to make the movie. So we had 400 people on the street yelling Ghostbusters, and I phoned someone at Columbia, I can't remember who, and said, there's 400 people on the street. See, it's going to cost us an extraordinary amount of money to do another take where they say Ghost Breakers. So they quickly made a deal, but the deal was that Filmation was allowed to keep the name Ghostbusters for television. And we could both use it. So they actually did an animated show called Ghostbusters based on their live action show, and so we called ours the Real Ghostbusters, which was sort of nasty, I guess, to distinguish us from, so kids would know which show they were watching Saturday morning.
Well,
I'm surprised that you didn't come up with the damn Ghostbusters.
We would have, but we had enough trouble with the Simpsons and ABC.
It's the damn Ghostbusters already. Just watch it.
Someone just pointed out, someone who was signing an autograph, said they noticed the difference between the ABC shows and the syndicated shows. There are 65 syndicated shows we did the first year, and then the others, and 13 ABC shows the first year, and then the other years were all ABC. And ABC had like standards and practice, and people who would complain about stuff. And syndication, there was no one. We just did whatever we wanted.
Right.
I mean, we didn't want to go silly, but so.
Peter had much more of a dating life in the syndicated
Is that
episodes.
right?
There's a lot of talk of him and girl. He flirted a lot more in the syndicated episodes. We always knew which one when we were doing syndicated episodes.
And Dave was on the big time. He was on the ABC shows. And I think you went back and, did you re-record the first couple of seasons?
We did. We ADR'd some stuff.
Well, it is so amazing, to see the impact that the cartoon has had on people throughout the years. People grew up with the show, it was their childhood. And what's it like for you guys to be here at a fan fest, seeing all those people that grew up watching and hearing your voices?
It's hot. It's really hot on a black couch. This is your friend, by the way, this is Dave Coulier's very first, yeah, I was just going to say that, experience of this. I've never been to, well, thank you. Everybody's been so nice.
They don't have this for that other TV show?
Full House?
Yeah, they don't have
Full House? I'm looking at this thinking, we could make barrels full of money if we did. Maybe we should. But I've never been to a Comic-Con. I've never been to, Ghostbusters Fest or any of this kind of stuff. And I'm blown away at all of it. It's really spectacular. And, I didn't know what to expect when I got here. I walked on the lot by myself. I guess I don't follow instructions very well. But I got here and I'm walking around. I'm like, there's no one here. This is a terrible event. I'm walking around going, where is everyone? And then they're like, oh, they're over at a restaurant. You have to go over there. And then I came back here and of course, there's tons of people now. So it's really remarkable. I do a lot of cons. Because, just that's my world. And for me,
what comes, Sophia, is that what comes to me is the awesome responsibility of keeping the spirit of Ghostbusters alive. So when I'm sitting at a table signing Egon pictures, I'm just moved by how sincere people are about the world that was created both in the movie and the cartoon. And as I said before, the good that people are putting out with the Ghostbusters chapters. I mean, there's a great documentary called Ghost Heads. If you haven't seen it, please see it, because it's about exactly that, about the spirit of Ghostbusters going forth into the world and doing charitable works. It's brilliant. So I'm always touched by the sincerity of the fans and my responsibility to represent Ghostbusters well.
I'm happy that in this temperature that we all decided to wear really dark colors. I think black is kind of the thing to wear here. Yeah.
Maurice, you probably heard this story, but when we were starting the show, we were told, this is why Dave wasn't on the first year, we were told not to make the animated...
I told this, I did. I told the story of it, yeah. I don't know how I got past it.
By the way, I was just walking with these guys, and I mentioned the Cary Grant Theater.
Good heavens!
Suddenly I was surrounded by stereo Cary Grant.
Well, excuse me.
Good heavens, Cary Grant, good heavens. Good heavens, it's Chris Evans, good heavens.
I'm actually wearing your slipper.
Good heavens.
We can't really paraphrase what we were doing earlier, but
no, that's part of the awesome responsibility.
There are children here.
No dirty Ghostbusters humor, yes.
I think my dad knows how that feels. I do that stuff all the time, and it drives him crazy. But it's so much fun, and I think that's the best part about the show is when you're having fun, doing your voices, it really it shows on screen. Whether they're hearing it or seeing someone act, it just really comes through, and I think that's what makes the show special.
Well, we definitely had great chemistry, in the recording sessions. I mean, we had a blast, and you can't fake that stuff. You either have that kind of chemistry with your castmates and producers and writers and director, or you don't, and I think that what you're hearing on this show is that special blend of people who just really enjoy working with each other.
We clicked. We all knew each other from stand-up too. I mean, we all hung out at the Comedy Store, and Arsenio, you and Frank, and I think knowing we were all comics and knew how to do that kind of riffing was a lot of fun. And they let us play in the booth a lot. We stuck to the script when we recorded, but they knew that the synchronicity would come from just us goofing on, Broderick Crawford farts and, all that type of thing, dueling Tony Curtis's, and, but that's where the comedy comes from, letting that grow.
But they were having the most fun. Meanwhile, they were, and I would go to those sessions and have a great time. And we did let you improvise sometimes. Every so often it'd be a really good joke, and the late Mike Grosser, I would say, no, use it, it's great. But then there were all these guys drawing pictures somewhere and working their asses off, and every week was a deadline. It was like, can we make, that's when I discovered television's all about making the date. With movies you can sometimes push back a bit. With television, no, it's got to go on the air Saturday morning.
Yeah, in the sitcom world we have that where you have 5 days to rehearse and shoot the show in front of a live audience, and that's it. That's all the time you have,
But I think it really helped that it was on the page. I mean, the scripts that we had,
they don't write themselves.
Joe Straczynski, as the story editor, I know he told me once, I saw him at San Diego Comic-Con, he said that every single one of those episodes would make a good Ghostbusters movie if it was expanded to, a 100-minute format. And I think that we got pretty close. We had some great writers on that show. The scripts were phenomenal.
I'd like to ask the audience here today.
Greg Miller,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Did I cut you off?
No, go ahead.
How many of you
would love to see the Real Ghostbusters cartoon come back? Because
that guy over there doesn't.
Let's get him.
get him?
Is that Bob Saget? Because the people that I've talked to, and I've watched some of the episodes over the years on DVD, and they're really spectacular. They're wonderfully produced, and the storylines hold up, and the voice acting is terrific. And so many people that I've talked to here said, "Are you going to bring it back?" So Joe, maybe you can answer that.
I think I'm trying to live a stress-free life. I'm going to tell you,
All this comedy is stressing you out, all this
no, the
laughter.
thought of the word produce gives me stress.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Dave, they're doing a 2020. They have the new Ghostbusters coming out, so it's probably reality.
Oh, okay, great.
Maybe they'll do a cartoon show again then.
Okay, why not?
Animated movies, what we heard.
There may be an animated movie too. So there's a lot of rumors going around.
Yeah.
And, for Dave and Maurice, what is it like for you? I know you can do amazing voices, but not being able to actually see the scene, is it sometimes difficult to be able to exactly act out how it's going to be portrayed in the cartoon?
Go ahead, what's your take on that?
My take on that is I create, when I work on this show, any show I work on, I have a cartoon in my head even before it's gone on the air, and I kind of project it onto the page, and play the part that way. When I'm doing a Pinky in the Brain, I'm imagining Pinky and I in the cage, and we're trying to take over the world, yes, and all that stuff. All right, we're not here for that. We're not taking over the world today. We're busting ghosts. So. But that's, so for me, I create my own world, and it doesn't matter. It's about the relationships. As actors, it's really just about the relationships. I trust the animators and the writers to create the world, but to inhabit it, I just kind of am in it, and I be them. What about you, Dave?
Well, each
That's
series,
hot, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think my butt crack is actually fused closed. Sorry. I'll be in the van over there waiting for it. Every show is a different theme, a different arc, a different rhythm. And so for this show, there was so much going on with so many, animated special effects that you really had to choose very specifically of how you were going to act your way through a scene. And, we've done a lot of different shows over the years.
Yeah.
And you really have to adapt to the feel and the writing and what the arc of the series is doing and what the arc of your character and the scene is going on. So this show really had its own particular style that you really, as a voice actor, you either tapped into it or you'd get buried pretty fast.
Yeah.
I have a vague memory of Marsha running into the they're inside glass, we're all outside. Watching them, and I have a vague memory of Marsha running in and showing you drawings sometimes.
Yeah.
No, this is what you're dealing with.
Right.
Storyboards.
Yeah.
Because the voices, of course, are done before the animation.
Yeah, and we'd see that, if we were playing a new character, a ghost, depending on the size. I mean, Frank did the best monster sounds of anybody in the business. But if every now and again I had to play something, I would want to see what that ghost looked like, and I need to know if he was that or if he was, because there's a different way to play it.
And Frank, as well as playing Stance, you probably know, was Slimer.
Yeah.
Slimer, by the way, who didn't exist as Slimer before the cartoon show. In the scripts for the movie, he was either called Potato Head or Onion Head.
And he wasn't a lovable character per se.
All he did was slime. I've been slimed.
Yeah, Venkman, yeah.
And he became the pet in the TV show. And I don't know who came up with the name Slimer. I'd love to take credit for it, but I don't think it was me.
And Frank has a wonderful way of taking characters who don't speak, because he's Curious George as well, and infusing, you would swear they talked, because Frank just has a language that he will imbue them with. And even though they're not forming actual words, you know exactly what that character is feeling and trying to communicate. And that's the genius of Frank Welker. And so he made Slimer, just a lovable, sweet character. He got his own show eventually.
Before you guys go, we're going to go to the audience to ask some questions. I'm over here. You guys can go in the pool after this. I know you're hot. You put on a piece of tilt the pool.
Oh, there you are. Hey,
I'm shy. I wear a one piece when I go in the pool.
We have a Ghostbuster from Cleveland with a question.
Yes. And I'm going to stay for trivia. I'm doing that right afterwards. Just going to plug myself. Sorry about that. Joe, thank you for everything that you've done.
Yes.
Maurice, for your kind words about the fandom. But this question is for Dave. Dave, when are we getting Out of Control on Blu-ray? I really want to see that.
I don't know. Out of Control, the show that he's referring to, I hosted a series on Nickelodeon in 1984. It was called Out of Control, and we did 26 episodes. And I think they ran those same episodes for 7 seasons, 7 years. So I don't know. I mean, that's a Nickelodeon call, but that show was really weird. It was really weird, but a fun show. Yeah.
Hi
So,
guys. You guys were kind of like my family growing up. So I thank you for your art, your work. It was amazing.
you have a weird family.
I know.
Get your elbows off the table.
I guess my question is, do you guys have any particular jokes that you remember? Your favorite joke or moment from the old series?
Oh boy, there's a lot.
I loved Winston's birthday party where Egon just comes up and deadpans, "I'm having a wonderful time." And my favorite cartoon Egon line is, "Sometimes I think the universe just waits for me to get cocky."
You remember your lines,
I do remember my lines.
I couldn't remember my lines the day we were
This is
recording.
all I have, Dave. I'm not directing a hit sitcom. This is it. I read the words into a microphone and draw pictures really fast. That's my world.
We have one more question, but you guys, where can they meet you after this to get autographs? Where are you?
Are we going back in there?
We're going back in there where
We're going back in
it's only
there.
80 degrees.
Yeah.
So this, yes.
One last question. What is your question?
My question is, if you guys do another Ghostbuster cartoon, are you going to have more of them actually traveling around the world? I mean, that's probably pretty cool, and seeing them actually doing more than just New York.
Well, that is actually completely up to us as the actors. No, I mean, listen, if they say, just stand here, read words into a microphone as Egon ever again, I will count myself a blessed man.
Yeah.
I would do anything they want me to do.
Yeah, we were doing the right thing.
Hi. So, first thing I want to say is,
It's great that they hit on the slight subtleties between the interpretations of the characters, and I think it's great work. I think it's I've got a couple in my collection, so yeah, I love it.
Well, I know we're running out of time, but thank you all so much for coming out today, and thank you for leaving such a great impact on all this, fandom out here and future generations of Ghostbusters to come.
Thank you.
Thank you to the fans. We love our fans. It's just great.
Thank you so much, you guys. Thanks for coming
Can we
out.
go a little bit crazier for these guys, please? Come on! It's Dave, Maurice, Joe, Sophia. Come on, a big hand. Amazing. And while we have this going on, we also have Slime Time Trivia coming up. We're gonna get people slime. So come on over here. Sophia, thank you so much. We'll return those microphones. Once again, Real Ghostbusters right here.
Wow.